We are at the intersection of Bonnie Branch Road and River Road, and this is down near Simpkins Mill. With me today are Charlie and Maggie and Chris. Cindy, Cindy. And we are beginning to take a look at this trail that we were hoping to put in sometime between this time and about September of 1997. This is just a beginning point. What we're going to do is break this down into sections, and the idea is to get the permissions that we need as well as an idea of what is going to be required here along this trail walk that we're going to do today. We're now beginning to walk down this trail, which essentially was an old two-lane road that went along Patapsco River. It's going down toward Route 1 from this location. This start point is about a mile downstream from Ellicott City. The road got washed out during Hurricane Agnes in 1972, and we are now in the process of just trying to put a walking trail back through there. Maggie at this point is just beginning to walk off the trail, the asphalt road, onto an existing trail that has been put in by local fishermen, and we'll be walking down here. Basically at this point all we need to do is to clear it and to make it a little bit more accessible. At this point I'm standing at a high point where the trail goes for maybe about 25 yards. It is on a fairly steep slope, and it is fairly steep going downhill at this point. What we need to do in this area is to build a retaining wall and clear out some trees. This is about a 25-meter section. Okay, here again, this is just a continuation of coming up on the other side of this little area. Essentially we're just talking about putting in some kind of logs and maybe some sandbags if necessary, but just pulling the uphill area down into it and creating a trail. Okay, and here we're beginning the second project area, and we've just come out of this area where we've been building the retention wall. This is now an asphalt road which has lost maybe one lane of it, and we have one lane that has been overgrown. The project would involve clearing it, and essentially this trail is in. All we got to do is clear it a little bit, and this is probably about 100 yards that we'll be doing here. This is one of the main areas that has been washed out with a culvert. You can see evidence of the culvert down in that area here. What we want to end up doing here near the end of this project would be to reinstall that culvert and to sandbag it and to go ahead and allow the dirt to be pulled back into this and just kind of level it all out. This is the same general area, just continuing down. The trail at this point is essentially one lane of a road wide. There's probably a few trees on the right-hand side that we need to take out just because of the steep embankment right from where Maggie is going down from that point. This is, again, it's just a wide open trail ready to go, and can be utilized with just a little bit of trimming. This entire area now is essentially project area number 3, and it's a fairly straightforward. All you're doing is cleaning off the road and doing a little bit of limbing, and you have roughly 150 yards of this. This is looking back now along this trail and going back basically the project area number 3. From this point we're going to turn around and I'm going to start looking at what project area number 4 looks like. This was part of nature's help, and this is a beaver damaged tree, poplar poplar that came down. This is in the area of 3 trees which are down along the trail. Essentially this is the first of them here. You can see they're pretty good sized trees, and we're within about 25 yards of where the trail literally ends, with the stream or the river having washed out the entire road at just maybe 10 or 15 more yards off the way here. This is the other area from the other side now, these down logs. We're at a point where the road basically ends, and we're going to turn around here now and start seeing some of the major engineering kind of work that we're going to have to do. This is now standing down where the road trail would be at the end, looking back up to the edge of the asphalt road. What we'd be doing in here basically would be building a retaining wall on our right-hand side and sandbagging it in, and then just pulling all this loose material that has been deposited up here on our left and just pulling it downhill and filling it in. So it's once you get the retaining wall in there, the trail essentially would be fairly simple, and we'll be just gradually reducing this slope all the way down. I'm turning around now and looking downstream still. At this point you can see the major damage that is coming off of the river. We are now on the outside bank of the storm, where it just completely has eroded the road away, and we're trying to figure out how to get a trail through here. That basically it's a very rocky, cliffy area, and the area that you see with the tapes on it would be where the trail itself would be going. We would be sandbagging in here as much as we had to, and doing some fill. The major thing is that we're down into the floodplain at this point, and we need now to start getting back up onto the high ground. This project area is categorized by just some fairly large rocks in here. What you're trying to be doing is getting a smooth trail in here somehow, and again we'll be removing what rocks we can, sandbagging the remaining area just to kind of level it out a little bit. This again is what we call the sandy beach area, and we are now looking at the place where we're going to be starting the trail going back uphill up to where Cindy is and continuing up onto the high ground over there. This is basically just a widening of an existing trail and improving an existing trail. At this point we're going to be starting going uphill, and you can just kind of follow the yellow trail markers up. This is an existing trail again coming up out of the sandy beach area. It is fairly steep, and again the idea would be to widen this trail to make it as a general slope as we can, and be able to get up to the top of the high ground here. This is still the same project. At this point we are just beginning to go into an area which would be a new trail construction. So this is a new project area, and this is the only piece that we have that's new construction, and it's less than 50 yards. It's basically contouring around a hill, and it would involve just putting in a new trail on a fairly moderate slope. It shouldn't be too bad as far as getting it in. Alright, at this point you can kind of see Maggie and Charles up ahead there. This again is the area that requires a new trail coming in. We're coming through, we're approximately 20 yards off of the existing trail uphill from that. This just gives us a much better grade coming across, and we're going to be looking at Cindy here in just a minute, and then back along the way of the trail. Again, this piece is essentially just staying level, contouring around the hill, and cuts out an up and down hill. Okay, we are now just kind of coming across again in this new trail area. We would probably stay a little bit higher than the existing marked trail that we just put in, and come all the way through to where the trail meets again right there. And so this is an area where we're about ready to come back up into a fairly significant rocky outcrop area, and that's our next project. Okay, I am now standing at the point that is going to be probably the most difficult from the engineering standpoint. We're now looking down to the point where the road right by Bloody Dam comes in, and we're going to be taking some close looks now at this section of the trail, because it's probably the most difficult that we have. This is the area where potentially we might want to do some blasting. This is also the area where we need to get a retention wall in using the existing trees that are in here. And we're going to need to build a significant log wall and sandbag wall in order to hold this down to where Charlie is standing now on the road. So that's where the trail itself ends. This is obviously now the last project, project number 7, and it's one of the areas that have really kept this whole thing from the road being reestablished right after the Hurricane Agnes was initially occurred. This is the area now standing from the bottom looking up that is going to be the biggest challenge. What we're looking at is to be able to use this tree that you see right here in the center as one of our main supports. and to be able to put some log retention devices between on that log or on that tree there, going both upstream and downstream to a point where I'm standing. The two other trees that have a band on them in front of here will probably have to be removed, and hopefully we can be using some of that material there just to help hold and stabilize this whole thing. This is an area we may have to do some blasting in if we can. If we can't do any blasting, it's going to be a fair amount of pick and axe work in here to try to get a trail in through. Again, the idea would be to pull down as much material as we can into a retaining wall and to hold that whole thing in place with sandbags and logs. This is the ultimate objective as far as our particular trail is concerned. This is what's called Bloody Dam. This is a fish ladder that's associated with Bloody Dam and helps get the fish up around this particular dam, and several additional fish ladders on the dams above here. The trail that comes in is going to be just off to Maggie's left up here, and the side is coming on down through. You can see it a little bit better up on the top there. There's some of the guardrails up there. Essentially that trail continues on and goes up to the top of the dam already. There's a little bridge that goes across, and it gets you up to that area where I identified the real steep slope that we have to figure out how to get across. We are now just about 25 yards north of upstream of Bloody Dam, and this is the Patapsco River and the existing walkway that we have. And this area up through here now is where the heavy erosion took place during Agnes. And what we did earlier is to come, and we are up on top of this area that's been so heavily eroded away, and where we're proposing to put the trail. So we're out of the floodplain up there, but I wanted you to have a chance just to see what this floodplain area looks like down through here, what just being on the outside bend of this river did during the Hurricane Agnes. Again, this whole area here obviously goes underwater several times a year, and it's not a good place for us to be as far as trying to put in a permanent trail. One final piece of information, this whole trail system that we're talking about for this whole project is on the Howard County side of the Patapsco River, and the other side over there is Baltimore County, and we've already experimented and explored over there to try to see if there's a way to get over there and to get a trail through, and that has been explored by a lot of folks, and none of them have had success with it. Here we're back on the trail, and we're looking at a place, looks like maybe in project area number 3 or 4, where there's an indicator of a trail going off that maybe the Park Service has put in, and we're not sure just where that goes, and it might be something that somebody could get. This piece right here is the technique that I'd like to use as far as putting in the bars to hold the sandbags in place. And you notice that there's a log up against a living tree, and that's just kind of naturally supported there. And then what we would be doing is placing sandbags on the inside of that, and then after the sandbags are in place, we would just be pulling down in appropriate places the material from upslope.